Welcome to the NaPodPoMo Mobile Podcast Challenge. My name is Jennifer Navarrete. I am the founder of National Podcast Post Month, which is a 30-day challenge that happens in November. Now, this is April. You're going, Jennifer, what are you doing in April? Well, I have had requests from folks in the past asking me to create a version of NaPodPoMo that was maybe prompt based or something that had a little bit more guidance. And the reality is that if you're participating in the original NaPodPoMo, you're a self-starter. You're kind of entrepreneurial. You maybe need a little bit of guidance, but mostly what we're looking for during NaPodPoMo in November is we're looking for a community of folks that are experimenting. And luckily, we have a global community of folks that are experimenting, whether you're a first-time podcaster trying podcasting for the first time, or whether you are a longtime podcaster and want to try something new. So it's a community safe space for folks to experiment, and it's a great discovery tool, and it's a lot of fun. And it also gives you a sense of accomplishment at the end of the year where maybe, we have New Year's resolutions, but by the time we roll around to November, those things are long gone. So we can accomplish something 30 podcast episodes in 30 days in November and close out the year strong. So for this challenge in April, what we were doing is something a little different, or actually a lot different. You're not going to be required to do 30 podcast episodes for the month in order to complete the challenge. This is more of an educational component, more of a experimental component. I say that we're building the plane while we're flying it. And because this is an alpha test of this concept, I don't have any idea if this is going to work well or not. I have no idea whether this is something that will continue year after year or if this is a one and done, hence alpha test. And if you want to join this challenge, you're part of that alpha test, and your input and your feedback are going to help build this, because this is all for community. It's all for people who want to learn podcasting, or maybe folks who want to try something new, or folks who just want to be part of a community challenge because I don't know, I do, the blogging challenges and other challenges because it's fun and I enjoy that. Maybe you do too. So what is NaPodPoMo MPC? MPC stands for Mobile Podcast Challenge. Well, when it comes to podcasting, I have come up with what I consider to be the 4 levels of podcasting. What are they? Number 1 is mobile plus apps. That didn't exist back in the early days of podcasting, but it does now, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm a big, huge fan, and we're going to hyper focus on mobile plus apps. Now, what are the other 3 levels? Second is USB microphone and a laptop. Third level is you want to build a studio. Fourth level is you want a podcast, but you don't want to be the techie geeky person like me, and you want to hire a producer or work with a producer or work with a team or a service. And those are the 4 levels of podcasting. Now, hyper focusing on mobile plus apps, why do that? Well, the reality is that all of us have a mobile phone. And there are some pretty darn good mobile podcasting apps that you could do everything all in one. Does it mean that you should only ever do that? Should you never get a microphone? Should you never build further? No, not at all. I think you should if you want to, but you don't have to. The reality is you do not have to. You can just use your mobile plus apps. Now, granted, there are techniques that you'll need to do because you really want to be considerate of your environment, because you want your audience, your listeners, the folks that want to tune in, you want to jam those earbuds in. You want to give them a good experience. And how do you give them a good experience? Well, you need to think about your environment. You need to think about maybe the technique of how you're using your phone. Are you using external tools? Are you using a microphone that you can plug into your phone? Are you using earbuds? There's all kinds of things that go with the tech, but tech isn't all we're going to talk about, because if we were going to only talk tech for 30 days, that would get old fast. So it's really going to be a salt and peppering of the type of content that you might want to create when you're developing your podcast. So let's say that you have an idea for a podcast and you're not quite sure how that translates into an episode or show that people tune into week after week after week. Or maybe you want to just do a standalone series, an evergreen series, that it's maybe a 12-part series and it's one and done. You do those 12 pieces, it's evergreen, meaning somebody who discovers it today, it's as new to them as somebody who discovers it 5 years ago. And that's beautiful. I think, by the way, I'm a big fan of that. The other thing you may want to do is you may do seasons, and seasons are something that you can say, well, maybe I only have time twice a year to do a podcast season, and I'm going to do 2 seasons a year or 3 seasons a year. And then you do that. But how do you go from the idea of a show that you want to share your mission and message with the world to actually doing it? So if you notice here on the side, I've got, the list of daily prompts, and how does that work? So I have a newsletter that I'm going to send out, but I don't expect everybody to be there because, again, this is an alpha test. I'm trying different things. Does a newsletter work for NaPodPoMo? I don't know, maybe. We're going to find out. But I'm also got the Facebook group, which is we've had for a really long time. We have a Twitter community and we have a community on Hive. And I am going to be sharing these prompts in those places. So wherever it is that you like to receive content, I'm not going to force you to go to Facebook. I'm not going to force you to be on X. I'm not going to force you to be on Hive. You choose your own adventure on where you want to receive these prompts. And I will post them in there. If you want to get on the newsletter, let me know. I'll add you to it because then it'll go right into your email. And those daily prompts are going to guide you. Now they're going to be a salt and peppering. I am going to start off with today's prompt. After this live is over, I'm going to send it out. But today's prompt is about content. Kind of thinking about how do you want to do your content? How do you develop that flow? And this is something for seasoned podcasters that's very natural. Like we already know, okay, we got to start here and we want to go there and we want to take people on the journey. Sure. But if you're someone who's brand new and all you have is an idea and a desire to create a podcast to share your thoughts or your expertise on that idea, or you want to gather a community and develop a community in a podcast as a way that you want to do it, great. But how do you develop that flow? And we're going to start with content and then we're going to work with tech. So we're going to salt and pepper. So every other one is going to be, so today's is about considering how you develop that idea into a flow. Tomorrow will be about your mobile phone and some considerations for how you will use your mobile phone. Eventually we'll get into the apps that you can use, and eventually we'll get into actually developing your show. If you follow along, by the time we're done at the end of the month, you will have the framework for your show. On the content side, you'll have experimented. On the mobile side, you'll have experimented with different techniques. You'll have experimented with different apps, found the one that works for you, and may go forward. Now, you may decide to launch your podcast midway. You may go, hey, I'm going to launch I've a week in and I'm already inspired. I'm ready to go. Yeah, go for it. Don't wait till the end of the month. You may say, well, I'm actually going to receive all this information, take some action to learn about these tools or these apps and, develop my technique, but I'm really not ready to launch yet. So I'm just going to use this as my training ground, my proving ground, my class is in session, I guess we could say. And then at the end, you will have enough information to then develop it further. Choose your own adventure. It's entirely up to you. I am here to guide, but not to be the sole person talking. And we have folks that are participating. I actually know somebody on LinkedIn who's like, I'm just going to use LinkedIn to participate. I'm like, great. I love it. I'm not posting there per se, although I will share some stuff that I'm doing there. But I didn't really think of that as a community. Again, this is an alpha test. So I'm going in the places where we have existing NaPodPoMo community. But choose your own adventure, how you want to receive this and how you want to take action on it. So we're going to do podcast content development, mobile technique, apps and tools, and then action steps. At every single prompt, there will be an action step. If you want to take action, go for it. And if you just want to kind of put that to the side and gather it all together so that you've got the entire 30 days and then take action on it, that's fine too. Again, unlike the traditional NaPodPoMo where it's 30 podcast episodes in 30 days, you are not required to podcast. However, if you would like to podcast, we can gather a community feed together. In the traditional NaPodPoMo, that's called the mega feed because everyone submits their RSS feed, and then we put it together into a single feed so that we can subscribe to that single feed and listen to everyone's shows. And it's a lot of fun because it's you don't actually know what you're going to get. It's serendipitous. You hit play and what pops up is part of the folks who are taking action, but you don't actually know what's coming next. So it's fun. It's kind of a, what would you say? I don't know. It's like a surprise. It's like a white elephant. You don't know what you're getting. So with this, because we're really learning the basics of framework of storytelling and of developing content development and learning the techniques and the gear and the tech and the apps and all that stuff I'm not expecting folks to podcast from day one. I don't expect 30 episodes. However, if you do 30 episodes, wow, that's just bonus. That's extra credit because you are helping to develop this. I'm thinking that maybe asking folks to do 30 podcast episodes when they're learning is maybe too much pressure. However, because this is an alpha test, it could be that you all are like, oh no, we're going pedal to the metal and we want also to do 30 podcast episodes in the 30 days while we're learning. Because as you know, you don't have to do daily podcast episodes if you wanted to go that route. You could actually batch record and do it towards the end as you gain more knowledge and gain more confidence. And that's really what is key here. Confidence. Do you have the confidence to develop your show? And I hope that by the time 30 days is over, that you absolutely do. Because I can tell you, I wouldn't be in year 20 of podcasting if it wasn't transformational, if it hadn't made such an impact in my life, if it wasn't for the community of folks who were doing it way back in the early days when it wasn't easy. It was actually really hard. And yet here I am all these years later. I actually make a living doing this. And if you had told 2005 Jennifer, who was like, "Oh, you mean I can record something, put it up on the web and no one can stop me?" that I would be doing this for a living, I would have said, "You're crazy." I would have wanted to pinch myself because it would just seem like too good to be true. And yet here I am doing exactly that, totally living the dream. So I hope that you will join me and as part of this alpha test and tell others about this. And then obviously give me feedback. This is an alpha test, meaning I don't know. We're building the plane and flying it. Did I put a bolt where it didn't go? Did I miss something? Chime in. You are part of this adventure. You are part of the journey. You're part of building this and making this something that really will have the ability and the power to make difference. And that's really what it is. Podcasting is very powerful because no one can control it except you. No one can take it away from you. And podcasting isn't just audio and isn't just video. Nowadays with podcasting 2.0, podcasting could be your audiobook, it could be your course, it could be your album, it could be anything that you want it to be. It's entirely up to you because it all depends on RSS. And these days, RSS is very, very powerful. And Dave Jones from Podcasting 2.0 likes to say that RSS equals freedom, and it totally does. So I hope that you will lean into podcasting the way that I have leaned into podcasting, because you just never know where it will take you. But I promise you that you will have a grand adventure and learn so much and be better for it. So happy NaPodPoMo MPC Alpha Test Day 1, and look for the prompt in the Facebook group, the Twitter community, the Hive community. And of course, if you follow me, I will be sharing it personally. And so with that, I wish you well and happy podcasting.